This might be Ed's most intense survival journey yet in the jungle. Right from the start, he suffers a serious leg injury. His body is exhausted, and even something that once seemed simple, like making fire, has now become a real struggle. Will he be able to overcome this challenge, or will he choose to give up? All will be revealed in the journey ahead. The location for this challenge is Borneo Island, known as the Emerald Gem of Southeast Asia, covering an area of 743,300 square kilometers. It is the third largest island in the world. Borneo is a place where nature's grandeur and wildness converge. Endless stretches of dense jungle, waterfalls cascading down limestone cliffs, and hundreds of rare bird species create a magical symphony orchestrated by Mother Nature herself. Before we dive into this challenge, don't forget to give me a like and subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much. Now let's get started. After saying goodbye to the guide, Ed's challenge officially begins. He carries only a camera and an emergency first aid kit. Today's mission is clear: find a water source before nightfall. Sounds simple, right? But not in this jungle. The forest floor is littered with sharp thorns, which are a nightmare for his already injured legs. On top of that, he must stay alert for venomous creatures. One wrong move, and it's a straight trip to the hospital. After walking for a long while, Ed notices a mosquito sucking blood from his leg, a clear sign its breeding ground is nearby. Following this clue, he eventually finds a water source, but it turns out to be a stagnant pond. Totally undrinkable. Do you know why water from ponds like this isn't safe to drink? Drop your answer in the comments below. To stay safe, Ed keeps moving forward, eyes scanning the landscape. After some time, he hears the gentle sound of flowing water. Following the sound, he discovers a tiny stream, small, but enough to get by. He decides this will be his campsite for the night. He spots a tree root that looks like a decent shelter base and clears away the surrounding weeds. But surprise, it's infested with termites. No way he's sleeping there. So, he heads toward a spot with palm leaves, pulling down surrounding branches to build a shelter. His plan? A dome-shaped structure with a thick leafy roof to keep out the elements. By the time he finishes, the sky is already dimming. He walks over to the stream for a drink and flashes a big, satisfied smile. But little does he know, when night falls, he'll become a grand feast for the jungle's hungry mosquitoes. Determined not to become mosquito food again, Ed makes a vow. He must create fire tonight, no matter what. After gathering enough materials, he heads back to camp and begins his familiar routine. But this time, it's much harder. The jungle is incredibly humid, and everything is damp, making it nearly impossible to spark a flame. Exhausted and drained of energy, Ed collapses onto the ground in frustration. But he's not ready to give up just yet. To recharge, he sets off to explore the area and stumbles upon a small patch of wild ginger. Jackpot! This jungle gem is rich in carbohydrates, has a sweet taste, and surprisingly, it's pretty tasty. Ed then stumbles upon a tiny, newly hatched grub. Without hesitation, he pops it into his mouth, an instant source of protein. With a little extra fuel in his system, he heads back to camp to continue the unfinished task of making fire. After more friction and effort, a faint spark finally appears. But the tinder is too damp. The spark fizzles out. Another failure. Refusing to waste the entire day on this, Ed shifts gears. It's time to catch some dinner. He crafts a simple fish trap from a plastic bottle, baits it with ants, and lowers it into the stream. While scouting the area, he makes a surprising discovery: an abandoned fish trap, left behind by someone else. Who it belongs to doesn't matter. What does matter is what's inside: a few small fish and shrimp. He can't resist the temptation. He grabs a shrimp, takes a bite, and is instantly hit with its sweet, delicious flavor. And just like that, Ed wraps up a challenging yet surprisingly successful day of survival. Not daring to let his guard down for even a moment, Ed resumes his fire-making mission the moment he wakes up. This time, as smoke begins to rise, the tinder finally catches, and a flame is born, just as he had hoped. The sight fills Ed with excitement. With fire now crackling beside him, life in the wild suddenly feels a little more stable. With the flames going strong, Ed puts to use an old jar he found earlier to boil some water. For dinner, he keeps it simple, just 2 small crabs roasted over the fire. In that quiet moment, with fire, food, and a roof of palm leaves above, Ed feels deeply content. Life like this, it's more than enough. Today, Ed decides to focus on exploring his surroundings. While trekking through the dense jungle, he stumbles upon a natural pool, clear, cool, and absolutely inviting. Without a second thought, he jumps in and enjoys a refreshing swim. After cooling off, he continues his journey. One key rule for surviving comfortably in the jungle: always secure enough food. On his way back to camp, Ed spots a well-trodden trail, a clear path likely used by animals. Wasting no time, he sets up a snare trap along the path. It's a simple yet effective design. As soon as an animal steps into the loop, it'll be hoisted upside down into the air. But what worries Ed the most is the large puncture wound on his foot. Every step he takes on the forest floor sends a sharp pain through his soul. To prevent infection, Ed comes up with a plan to build a hammock back at camp. Vines are everywhere in the jungle, and they're the perfect material. After gathering enough vines, he returns to camp and starts assembling his hammock. Once finished, it turns out to be surprisingly comfortable and cool, a great way to stay off the damp ground. While out foraging, Ed comes across a dung beetle. As we all know, its main diet is animal feces, but Ed doesn't care. He pops it into his mouth and chews it up without hesitation. I wonder, what would it actually taste like if I tried one? As Ed returns to camp, the sky suddenly opens up and heavy rain begins to pour. In weather like this, there's nothing much he can do. With no other option, he crawls into his shelter and lies down, letting the sound of the rain lull him into sleep. The next morning, Ed hurried to check the trap. It was clear the trap had been triggered, but unfortunately, there was nothing caught in it. All he could do was reset it and hope for better luck. When he returned to camp, the pain in his foot had grown worse. Ed began to fear that the wound might become severely infected and that he could even end up needing to amputate. With no other option, he cut up his camera bag and tightly wrapped it around his foot. It wasn't ideal, but it would help keep the wound as dry as possible. Ed walks out to the lakeside to set a new trap, but this time, the bait is, let's just say, something very personal taken straight from himself. That's all I can reveal. You'll have to guess what it is. But one thing's for sure, it's definitely something that'll attract fish. And sure enough, just a few minutes later, the trap works. Ed actually manages to catch a few small fish. I don't know exactly how he felt in that moment, but I can imagine him trying hard to convince himself to eat what he just caught. He places the fish into a jar and boils them over the fire. Using a stick as makeshift chopsticks, he picks up a piece and gives it a try. He says it tastes pretty good, but honestly, I don't think you or I would agree. But those shrimp? Oh, they were delicious. The final day of the challenge has arrived. Ed wakes up, takes down his shelter, packs up all his gear, and begins the journey back home, bringing an end to a tough, demanding survival mission that, despite all odds, turned out to be a success.